Good afternoon, candidates, ladies and gentlemen, members of the press. On behalf of the Blue Springs Chamber and the Examiner, welcome to this candidate forum. I'm Cody Rydell with Central Bank and the chairman of the board for the Chamber of Commerce. We are pleased and honored to have the candidates with us today, as well as each of you. I want to also express our deep gratitude to the Central Jackson County Fire Protection District for allowing us to host this event here today. And when you came in, you may have noticed a table in the hallway with candidate literature. The table is provided for candidates, displays political materials, and candidates. You may hand out printed information following the form. Now, over the past few weeks, the Blue Springs Chamber of Commerce has asked members to pose questions of the candidates. We received many questions for the candidates, and some of those will be asked this afternoon. Also, we want to give you the opportunity to ask questions. If you'd like to pose a question for the candidates, just fill out a note card on your table. And after you write your question, please just pass them down toward the end of the rows, and one of our chamber staff members will pick them up. Questions should be posed to all candidates, not just individual candidates. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our moderator and play-by-play hopefully for this afternoon, Mr. Fox with the camera.
No promises in the play-by-play, but we'll see what we can do. Good afternoon. Before we hear from the candidates, I'll outline the format for today's candidate forum. We are asking that no video, including Facebook Live, that sort of thing, be taken during this event. We're videotaping the event today, thanks to the technology available here at Central Jackson County's Training Center. The video of today's forum will be uploaded to the Chamber's YouTube channel within a couple of days. Also, it's always a good reminder of these things to silence your phones if you haven't done that already, so we can have a smooth event. As Cody said, this event is co-sponsored by the Blue Springs Chamber and by the Examiner. The reason we sponsor this event is so that Chamber members and Examiner readers can make informed decisions at the ballot box in a couple of weeks. We ask that everyone be respectful of others in speech and behavior today so that each candidate can provide information about himself or herself and answer the questions that are asked. There are 3 areas on the April 8th ballot that we will visit today. There are proposed Blue Springs Home Rule Charter amendments. Southern Jackson County Fire District Protection has a special election ballot question, and there are 3 city council races. First, we'll spend about 10 minutes hearing from the chief of the Southern Jackson County Fire Protection District about its ballot issue, and then we'll have about the same amount of time from Blue Springs Mayor Chris Levasseur about the Home Rule Charter changes, and then we'll move on to the candidates part. There are 7 candidates running for the 3 spots on the city council. We have 2 in District 1, Dr. Galen Erickson and Brian Clark. Both of them are here tonight. We have 3 in District 2, Katie Phelan, Doug Stacer, and Byron Cradoff. Katie Phelan and Doug Stacer, are here with us this afternoon. And finally, we have 2 candidates in District 3, Jeremy Rowan and Susan Culpepper, and they are both here. But first, let's discuss the proposed Southern Jackson County Fire Protection District ballot. And to do so, I will bring up Chief Bill Larch.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Chamber and the Examiner for hosting this and CJC for having it in this wonderful venue. So I'm here to talk about the Southern Jackson County half-cent proposed sales tax that's on the April 8th ballot. The new sales taxes are a little different than the old ones. There's some grandfathered ones that are true half-cent. So as I go through, if there's any questions, I'll hopefully can answer those for you. So this is to provide information for our constituents or anybody that's concerned about the half-cent levy and why we're asking for the levy. So the approval of the sales tax will result in cost savings for our residents within the district, specifically an amount equal to 1/4 cent of all revenues collected, or half the total amount, will be returned by reducing the tax rate on the real estate and personal property tax. And we anticipate approximately $3 to $4 million total collection. So half of that will go back. So whatever that total number is, half of that gets rebated back by us reducing our real estate and personal property tax. the approved voter rate is $1.19, so it could roll down to $1.15, $1.10, depending on how much is collected, and we have to roll that tax back. So that's the cost savings to the taxpayers. We believe this measure will help support the services provided by the fire district while lowering the overall tax burden on our residents. This money is going to go into our general revenue fund, and it's going to be utilized to hire additional staffing and allow us to move forward with construction of our Station 4 in the southern portion of our district. So just like in the northern part of our district, 2 or 3 years ago now, we built Station 3 and opened it. We had funding. We've got the funding secured for the station already. We passed $7.2 million last year in debt service to use for apparatus and station. We've kind of held off on that station as Jackson County assessments went through the roof. We got rolled back. We're about $500,000 short on our general revenue. Because of all the appeals, a lot of them are coming out of Lake Lotawana area because those assessed values tripled or more. So as those are being appealed, our funds are a little bit short until Jackson County can figure that out and we can recoup some of that money. So we think this will help offset some of that, and with that extra funding will allow us to hire the people we need to build that station and provide better service in the south end of our district. So that's really all I have. We're asking for the half-cent sales tax because 2 years ago, we asked our voters to reset the consolidation levy back to $1.19. That's now been rolled back to, I believe it's $1. You remember? Yeah, it's like $1.09. So we're losing 10 cents for every $100 assessed value. So the constituents that we've spoken to on the streets are, if you're asking to reset that, well, didn't we approve that 2 years ago? That's what we keep hearing. So we keep going back every 2 years because we keep getting rolled back. We believe the half-cent sales tax will be more sustainable. We don't have to go back every 2 years on the ballot and keep asking to reset that levy. So we can keep our mission moving forward. So that's why we're asking for it. And we ask people to just get out of it. If there's any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And Mayor Livesay is working his way down here, and he's going to talk for a minute or two, or maybe 10, about, well, that's what we planned for. Let's put it back. Take my spot. Did you have baseball today?
I do not.
Okay.
Should I have?
Nonetheless, charter changes.
Girls, that's the other thing. Well, I will try to, I know, just like Chief, I'm not gonna take all of your time. I see in the room, a lot of people have heard this once or twice or 3 times, so. But because I know this is also being recorded, I don't want to completely shortchange the information on the charter review. If you see on our screen here, except I don't. There it is. So every 5 years, according to the Blue Springs Charter, we have to review the charter, have a charter review commission that evaluates potential changes, and then those are put up for an election. So this year, in accordance with the charter, we put together a charter review commission. I think the only one here today is Mr. Harrell right there. And then actually Councilmember Brummel was on the charter review before he was Councilmember Brummel. So a couple of them in here, and Doug Stacer, that's right. Candidate Stacer here was also on charter review. So lots of good cross section across the district. There were multiple members from each district, had a good 4 or 5 meetings to review the options, and they made some recommendations, which I want to go over here shortly. So they made the presentation, completed their process in January of this year. Some of the recommendations were involving the council and the mayor. Currently, the charter says that the mayor or council, a candidate for office in Blue Springs, has to live in the district for 180 days and be a registered voter of the city for 2 years before that. What it doesn't say, what the council or what the commission thought was important to clarify, is that they must also reside in their district while they serve on the council or while they serve as mayor. And so it's something that I think is always assumed, but they wanted to clarify and specify that they must live in the district during their term as well as leading up to and running for office. Another change had to do with the appointment of vacancies. So we've had a couple of those recently. One that was unique was when Councilmember Fowler became State Representative Fowler. The timing of when that resignation or when that vacancy occurred completely affected the way and the process in which appointing somebody for the council for that replacement happened. And so how it currently existed was the charter says it must be at the next council meeting. There was some question of what next meant depending on when the vacancy occurred, and that they will fill the term until the next possible municipal election. So the example here with State Representative Fowler was if the vacancy occurred in November, theoretically, we would have had 2 elections for District 3 council members on this ballot in April, one for a 1-year term and one for a 3-year term. The council or the commission felt like that got too confusing and decided to put on the ballot for, they just filled the entire remaining term. So whatever point they're appointed, whenever the vacancy occurs, the candidate, the replacement will fill that entire term until that term expires. So for this example, as is example with Councilmember Brummel, he'll be there until April of 26. So that's how that worked out. So that's question 1 largely is the ones having to do with mayor and council. There's also some discussion amongst the commission and members of the community, has been for several years since the COVID pandemic, about the city having its own health department. There's no current plans for the city to have a health department, no current plans of funding that. But since, again, we only review this at the most, or at the earliest, every 5 years, what we've been told over the years is even to consider it, we have to have it in our charter as enabling for us to even discuss it. And so the commission felt like just in case there is an opportunity to do that, they wanted to be upfront and put it in the charter, or at least propose it to the residents to give us that possibility. The other is a kind of administrative change. Right now, the charter says we have to review the comprehensive plan, do a new comprehensive plan or update it every 5 years. We do that in practice. State law requires it for every 5 years. But the commission felt like it was cleaner to just refer to state law because state law can change. And then we have to change the charter to be reflected in the state law. So they felt the language was cleaner to take out the 5-year requirement and just refer to state law, whatever it requires, which again, right now is 5 years. Also clean up some language. Right now, it's called a comprehensive development plan. That's a term of art that isn't used anymore. It's now just called a comprehensive plan. So a lot of that is just updating semantics, and you'll see there's one whole question that really covers all of those. Where most of the discussion happened, where most of the change occurred, well, this clicker doesn't give me a lot of room there, is having to do with the initiative petition process. So for the whole 30 years since the charter was passed in 1994, we had never had an initiative petition. That changed last year, and we learned some things. We learned some things as staff. We learned some things from the residents' perspective. And so there's a lot of discussion about what that should look like, what changes should occur. The commission recommended these changes specifically having to do with who can be a part of a petitioner's committee. Right now, the charter limited it to, I think, 5. And so there's a new process proposed in the language to add a person to a petitioner's committee, what that looks like, what they need to do, what the qualifications are. There was also some change to the form that is used to gather signatures in the petition. Right now, what the charter outlines, it was just a signature and an address. There was no space available for a printed name, and that's pretty common amongst petitions from the county. And so specifically, his language is being added that there is a printed name in addition to the signature. So I don't know about y'all's signature. My signature doesn't always look like my name. And so it's difficult for the Jackson County Election Board to certify that the person that signed that is actually the registered voter at that address if they're just looking at a signature. And so the printed name allows for them to have some more surety and to certify that name with some confidence. The final big change has to do with the timeline. Currently, the charter requires 60 days to have that process complete. This would allow up to 90 days. There's a lot of discussion about extending the timeline, and they landed at a happy medium of 90 days. A lot of the other stuff is language change, updating of terminology. clarification of process. So you'll see some of those here. We complete an audit every year out of process from the city. The charter requires an annual audit. The commission thought it was important that to require that audit be in conjunction with Government Accounting Standards Board qualifications. And so there's just language that adds the line that it needs to be in accordance with that process. There's also discussion about the annual budget and the capital improvement budget. We do that every year. There's nothing in the charter that required that be made available to the public. So the commission thought it was important to add that language that it be made available to the public, even though it's practice, we've always done that, but they wanted to make sure that was clear so the public was aware. In addition, there's requirements for it being made available. They thought it was important to add that it must be made available at City Hall. So currently it's usually at the library, it is available at City Hall, but they wanted that requirement to be in there, that if you go to City Hall, you can see a copy of the budget, copy of the capital improvement budget. And so they added language in there to require that as well. Some of the others, just moving some language that's outdated. A tax roll is not really something that's around anymore. So we're moving language to the tax roll. Still requires the tax rate be computed appropriately annually every year, but they're removing language to tax roll. Removing language to an indelible pencil. Does anybody know what an indelible pencil is? No, I don't either. So removing language to that kind of thing. And then I think that was the last one. So this is developed into 5 questions. The questions are developed by the city attorney, and then we submit those to the election board. So how the process of developing these questions really come down to a couple of things. So first of all is conciseness. Now, concise doesn't always mean short. It means as clear as you can be with not being real flowery with your language. And so we pay basically per word when we print a ballot. This election this year is costing the city $91,000. And so for every additional question we add, it costs more money. And so it's not the only consideration, but it is something we want to be mindful about, not adding a bunch of questions just to add questions. The first question has to do with the council and mayor portion of it, the requirements change to that. The second, third, and fourth questions all have to do with that initiative petition process. So the second one is the administrative changes, the adding of the language, the clarification of certified mail. The third question has to do with the changes of who can do it, how you add a person to the petitioners committee, what the chairman must be, that you can't be a felon, things like that, qualifications of the committee. And the fourth question has to do with extending the 90 days. And then question 5 is just that collection of everything else, the administrative changes that need to be fixed in the charter. And so I would encourage you to vote on April 8th on these 5 questions. Also, because I'm here and there's a captive audience, we're also in the middle process here of a strategic planning process. This week, our consultants have been going to all of the stakeholder groups, HOAs, business owners. We were at Vesper Hall yesterday. And so looking for as much input as possible from as much broad section of residents as possible. And if you go to this QR code, we have a social pinpoint map that you can actually go on the map, tell us what you want Blue Springs to look like for the next 5 to 10 years. So I encourage you to participate in that as well. And I don't know what time that is, but I'm done. So thank you much.
Mr. Mayor, that was a lot of ground to cover and you were concise. So that's a good thing. A little bit of housekeeping. I should point out that they're at your table. You should have something that looks like this. That's information on the candidates. There is a typo on there for Douglas Stacer. His email is a little off. That first word is not as printed. It is in fact wingnut94. Wingnut94, if you want to write that down, at Gmail. So there's that. Also, if you want to be alerted about upcoming events such as this, Chamber does this one every year about this time. Fill this out. And if you have a question, fill this out and wave it in the air?
Yeah.
Okay, wave it in the air. And don't make a spitball and throw it down here. Wave it in the air. Somebody will come and get it. So let's move on to our candidates. And we have about an hour, but we have 6 people and a lot of good questions were submitted. So it'll go quickly. At this time, and the candidates are already down here, each candidate will be given 2 minutes for an opening statement. After that, we'll move on to questions and answers. For the question and answer session, we're going to ask each candidate to keep responses to no more than 1 minute. Both the opening remarks and the answer to the questions will be timed. We ask the candidates to please honor the established time limits. This is where it gets fun. Candidates, we have a timekeeper with a bell. With a bell. Though John is really eager about this. There we go. Whatever it takes. We have a bell. John's down here in the front. Dr. John Burke, with the Blue Springs Downtown Alive, is here to be our timekeeper once again. And he embraces that role with gusto. At the end, we will also have from each candidate 1 minute closing statements. So 1 minute to open, 1 minute to close, or I'm sorry, 2 minutes to open, 1 minute to answer, and 1 minute to close. So 2 minutes at the top and 1 minute thereafter. The candidates drew numbers early, and I think they're seated close to the number in which they, 1, 2, 3, yeah, try to follow, yeah, okay. And we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the first question will go 2, 3, 4, 5, and the second question 3, 4, 5. So we try to keep it shaken up a little bit and fair. So, as mentioned, we've had a good number of pre-submitted questions. But before we get to those, let's start with candidate. Oh, I've got to pass out microphones. There's one. And there's another one. So the candidates drew for who goes first, and your first candidate to speak for a 2 minute opening statement will be Brian Clark.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Is this on?
Red button on the bottom. You should hold the red button.
Sounds like.
There we go.
There we go.
I'm a write-in candidate. I chose this decision late to benefit Blue Springs. I'm a homegrown boy here. I graduated Blue Springs in 1985. I went to Hallmark Carter, Blue Springs Junior High. I was there when the gym burned down. If anybody ever knew that. I'm a substitute teacher from Blue Springs. I taught English at the high school on Tuesday. I currently work for Amazon as a teacher and a coach. I served 28 years in the military. I did 6 years in the Marine Corps. I'm a veteran of Desert Storm. I've been in coastal Yugoslavia, Djibouti, Africa, another 14 months in Iraq. Seen many things, and I'm here to, further make Blue Springs a better city. I see a lot of things that we could be improving on, and I'd like to be part of that. Like I said, I grew up here with, when the city was in its development. I've seen that outer roads being built, St. Mary's Hospital. I've seen a lot of things being built, and I'd like to see more businesses here instead of, our car washes, our check cashing places. We need better businesses to bring, more employees up, just better the city. That's all I got.
All right, thank you, sir. Next up is Doug Staple.
My name is.
Yeah, we're gonna fight this all day. How's that? You're better at this than no? There we go.
My name is Doug Stacer, and I retired from the Air Force in 1994. I moved to Blue Springs 2008, and since that time, I've been a member of the VIPS, Volunteer Police Services. I have served on the Blue Springs Public Safety Awareness Board for 4 years, and I served on the 2024 Charter Review Commission. I'm currently on the Blue Springs Board of Adjustments. So I've seen a lot of changes here since I've been here in 2008. And I want to be able to help my district, District 2. So I'm gonna keep my minutes quick, so the next person can get on with it. Thank you. Thanks for being here today.
All right, thank you, sir. Next person up for a 2-minute opening statement is Jeremy Rowan. Like it was just working.
No, no.
No, you're good.
Hello? There we go. Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. My name is Jeremy Rowan. I run a martial arts school in Blue Springs, the dojo. I've done that. We'll actually start our 20th year, I guess, in June. I was just thinking today about 2 years ago when I sat up here for the first time when we did this forum, sitting right here. And when I looked up at the crowd of people up here, I recognized everybody, but I didn't know everybody here. And there's probably 3 or 4 people today that I probably haven't met yet. But the difference today is I know probably each and every one of you. We've worked together in some way. We've had coffee together. We've discussed this campaign or one of the other campaigns that I've done. You've seen the work that I've put into these campaigns and trying to make a difference here in the city. And I'm just going to continue to try to do that for you guys. And thank you very much.
Susan Culpepper, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to get the microphone to work the first time.
I think it's working.
I'm told, there we go. You won something. I don't know what. I'm told candidates to be careful with the mute button. So maybe that's another issue, but Susan Culpepper.
My name's Susan Culpepper, and I'm on the City Council for District 3, and I'm Mayor Pro Tem. I would like everyone to understand why I do what I do. My God and my family and my community are first and foremost. I love what I do for this community. And when I come to this position, it is with a lot of experience. I was a corporate controller, worked for international and national companies. It's budget all over, and you have to have your budgets. And as I've been on the city council over these last few years, I have worked on a lot of very large projects that are going to be carrying our city forward. We have the downtown plan. We have property that we have purchased on the corner of 15th and Main. We have the new development on Adams Dairy Parkway. And in my tenure, we have built the field house and the aquatic center, and I could go on and on. What is really important, and I would like everyone to understand, that this position takes experience. I spent a lot of years on the Planning Commission learning how municipal government works. It's very different than corporate. And after putting in time on the Planning Commission, I realized that as a city councilman, I could really do some good for this city. I work hard, and I promise to continue to work hard. Thank you.
Galen Erickson, an opening statement of 2 minutes.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I am Galen Erickson. I served on the city council for the past 6 years representing District 1. I ran for council because I believed I could bring practical experience, thoughtful leadership, and a results-driven mindset to city government. I make communicating with constituents a priority. I research issues, and I make informed decisions focused on what's best for our community. Although I value compromise when it leads to progress, I don't cede to special interests or serve narrow agendas. I am a practicing veterinarian who built and ran a nationally recognized animal hospital in Blue Springs for decades. I currently serve on the Missouri Veterinary Medical Board, helping guide statewide veterinary standards. As a captain in the United States Air Force, I learned discipline, integrity, and commitment, qualities I apply to decisions I make for the city. My wife Evelyn and I have lived here for nearly 50 years. Our children graduated from our schools, and Evelyn taught here. We have been deeply involved in community life, from church to civic events, as well as education and youth programs. Just a few of the things on my time in the city council include supporting the supporting the creation of award-winning Blue Springs Water Park, championing the no-tax bond issue that funds street improvements and sidewalk infill, promoting and participating in Green the Blue, a program to clean streets, right-of-ways, and parks, pushing for major revitalization in both the downtown and along Adams Dairy Parkway, and finding ways we can seize opportunities like the 2026 World Cup and others, so we can benefit from the thousands of visitors we have. I think I'm out of time, so I'll shut up. Thank you, and I'll look forward to your questions. Thank you.
And our final opening statement is from Katie Thulin.
Hi, I'm Katie Tholen. I'm currently on for District 2. I'm a little different. I was appointed to position in June, and now I'm not. This is my first election. I've been living in Blue Springs for 17 years. I'm a mom of 2 boys, 17 and 13. They go to Blue Springs High School and Paul Kinder. Been married for 20 years. I work for Equity Bank, which is in Blue Springs. I'm on the missions team at church, have traveled all over the world. I work, play, everything Blue Springs, and have for the 17 years. I love what I've been doing, not only with my job, but I also have enjoyed doing all the things that we've been doing on the council. Been a part of a lot of things in the short time that I have been there. The purchase of the church, the new on Adams Dairy, and also downtown. I'm very business minded. Like I said, I've been with Equity Bank for 15 years, so business is my life, and would love to continue on doing that.
Thank you, candidates, for those opening statements. We'll keep moving. Just a tiny bit more housekeeping. There is another typo on this sheet, if you got it. That's for Brian Clark. That email after the ampersand, it's not a Gmail account. It's yahoo.com. Yahoo.com instead of Gmail for Brian Clark. We have a good number of questions that were submitted in advance, and I don't think we'll get to all of them, but we have good questions. I don't want that to discourage you from submitting a question. If you want to write one down on a 3x5 card, I would point out that one of the parameters is that questions should be posed to all of the candidates, not just one. Okay, all the questions are going to go to all the candidates. So, and candidates, I'm going to pre-confess this. It's so easy to get this out of order to somebody and leave off the person. Has this happened to anybody twice? Did I do it twice? Yeah, possible. Yeah, it happens. So we'll try to get it right. And if I get it wrong, raise your hand, throw something at me, whatever, and we'll get it squared away. The first, keeping in our order, this first question will go first to Doug Stacer, and then we'll go down the row and come back here at the end. The first question is this. With the city's population growth, how do you think the city should address the increasing demand for infrastructure and essential services, such as transportation and public safety? Are there specific infrastructure projects or service improvements that you think should be prioritized, and how would they be funded? And again, we asked candidates to please try to hold that to a minute.
Well, first off, one of the main things, again, everybody says this, is the roads. But I think we should get people in there instead of the lowest bidder that uses the cheapest material. We should get somebody in there that uses better materials, so we don't have to keep refilling the potholes. I'm a motorcycle rider, and they're hard to dodge sometimes. So that's one thing. And then security, we have a great police force. We do need some more people on it to help with it. But other than that, the roads is my main condition we need to take care of and keep care of better. Thank you.
Jeremy Rowan, same question.
I'm going to piggyback off of that. I believe the roads are one of the major concerns. When we talk to citizens, when we're out at doors, when we go to events like this, that comes up over and over again. And I'm sure they're incredibly tired of hearing about it. But we need more of a competitive bargaining for that, to try to get somebody like he had mentioned before, it's going to do the work and it sticks. Unfortunately, when we keep band-aiding things, it's If you've seen the roads, I'm sure, where you fill a pothole and then it's open right back up again. We just need to make sure that we're building it strong in the first place. Tear it back up, rebuild it the right way so we don't have to deal with it every couple months, basically. The other part is we do need to make sure that we focus on our public servants, so they are out fixing those roads and keeping us safe at night. And my time is just about up. Thank you very much.
Susan Culpepper.
Thank you. First, I will address the street issue. You know, we just passed a $40 million bond issue. And we have an outside company now who is helping us make sure that we get the biggest bang for our buck. The top $15 million will be going to residential streets. And we have found that there are ways we can cover a lot more streets than we initially thought. So it's good to have an outside source to help us. The other thing that has been brought up is the safety. The safety of our community is front and foremost. We have an excellent police department. And several years ago, I introduced an ordinance to extend and expand the retirement program so that we can maintain not only good policemen, but good city staff by increasing the retirement package. And these are the things that I continue to look at as we go forward.
So that question again is about infrastructure and central services. How do you prioritize it? How do you pay for it? Galen Erickson.
Thank you, Councilmember Culpepper, for telling us everything that I want to tell them. You know, I mentioned the the $40 million bond project, and that was the city council and the mayor that did that, but it was the citizens of Blue Springs, which reflects the need to have that done. Unfortunately, in the past, we haven't been able to do that. Cochran Engineering Firm is going to bring a vast group of professionalism into the community. I think public safety, I mentioned this the last couple forums I was at, technology and technology and technology. We have flock cameras that have grown from 0 to, I believe it's 25 or 26. And I saw just recently we've solved a crime because of those. I think that's huge. And nobody's mentioned, I don't think, the funding. We do have a half-cent in perpetuity sales tax for public safety. And we do have the transportation tax. Thanks to you guys, I think we're going to be well funded, and we hear you guys. I'm done.
You got Bing. Katie Tholen.
Piggyback again, the $40 million. I think once it went to the engineer, they actually found quite a bit more roads that we can get fixed during the time. I know that they are going to Public Works is going to look at what needs to be replaced along with doing the roads. So we're going to be double doing it. So we're only tearing up those roads one time. So we're going to try to make sure everything is done at one time and move forward. I am a part of CPA, the Citizen Police Academy. So that opened my eyes. I actually graduate tonight. So I'm going to have to skedaddle right at that time because graduation is tonight. But I learned a lot about what our police are doing. They're training, and that Blue Springs is sought out to come work for Blue Springs just because of the training that is done, the ability, the equipment that we have, and that is all because of what the Blue Springs citizens have done in the past.
And finally, Brian Clark, your thoughts.
Everybody pretty much said everything that I wanted to say. There's got to be a creative way we can create financing for federal roads. Like I said earlier, I grew up in this town. I see how the roads were built back then, and got to get creative on maybe not another tax, but some way to benefit these roads and make it where it's just Blue Springs only. You know, I don't know, expanding out further, but there's got to be, for all the taxes that we pay, somehow someone's got to get creative to do this to, benefit the police department, our future, for the roads and stuff like that. All I got.
Very good. We'll go to our second question. We'll start with Mr. Rowan, go down the road, come back. How have you, or how will you, weigh the views and opinions of constituents against your own views and opinions? What if community opinion does not align with your views? How does that affect your decisions?
Again, we're going to refer back to the last forum at that 23. I'm people over politics. Like I do definitely have opinions on things and how I think things should go. And I realize that that's not always the popular opinion. I personally am going out in this campaign and the ones before, meeting the people, going to their homes, trying to talk to them and ask them what they value or what they want to see happen here in the city. So again, I have ideas of the way I think things should be, but I want to listen to the citizens and make sure that I'm representing them as best I can in District 3. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Susan Culpepper, 1 minute.
When something comes up, I always have an opinion. There's no doubt I have an opinion, but that's not my job. My job and what I was elected to do was to voice the opinion of my constituents. And that is what I do. Sometimes I don't agree. Sometimes I have to change my mind. But that is the job. And to make that work and look for the positive, make sure that those things happen.
Galen Erickson.
I agree with that as well. Again, Susan, I do have an opinion as well, but I've been proud of my relationship with the constituents and the community. I do research things very, very well, but what I do find, and I think it's very, very obvious in this community and every community, that Facebook seems to be the constituent opinion, and that's not necessarily true. There are so many negatives on Facebook and all the other social media aspects. It's difficult sometimes to go, wait a minute, everybody wants that. And then I realized that that's not everybody. I would be wrong and remiss if I didn't try to do the right thing for the majority of the group. And I would also be incorrect and wrong if I did not admit my mistake and try to correct it, which I have changed some votes in the past, and I'm proud of that. So constituency first, me second.
Katie Phillip.
With doing this for 10 months, it's been an eye-opener. One instance, I had a citizen come and present something, and we started it as soon as I got on, and it took almost the full 10 months to bring it to council. So I never gave up on that. I listened to them. I wanted to help them. That is ultimately what I'm supposed to be doing, listening to the citizens and bringing things to the council. It's not necessarily all of my ideas. It's everyone else's ideas. I am in customer service. I deal with it every day. Citizens come first. Replies are important, and getting back to them in a timely manner is the best thing.
We come back to this then. Brian Clark, how do you manage that when there's some daylight between your views and those of your constituents?
One, you have pretty much got to find a common middle ground where each party talk about their feelings and kind of set the feelings aside, and put it to the basis of the issue to get it there, and just common head focus to focus on the issue and not the feelings, and then listen to the constituents, and majority, follow the majority of your constituents to get there. So.
And the last one for this philosophical question is Dr. Stacer.
I know I'm not going to agree with everything that the people in District 2 might want or say, but sometimes you have to say no. But a lot of times if the majority of the people, that's what they want, then that's what I'm going to have to vote for when I'm on council, because that's something we have to do, and we need to look out for everybody in my district, which would hopefully be District 2. So, yeah, just you got to listen up and pay attention to what people are saying.
This next question goes first to Susan Culpepper and then down the road, back this way. What do you see as the most important thing that the city of Blue Springs should be focusing on the next 5 to 10 years? How will you work to get that done?
For me, that's very easy. Economic development. Economic development is the basis of everything we do. That is what increases our tax base, and that allows us to do roads and to bring in new consultants to help us with work. And it also enables us to provide those safety services and the other things that the city is responsible for, your sewers and your water and all those things, your necessities. And so economic development is key, absolutely key. And that includes retention of current businesses. It's not an easy job because you have to be able to talk to a lot of different people, a lot of different companies, and satisfy their needs. But we can do that. We have the space, we have the talent.
Galen Erickson.
Sometimes I think questions like that are difficult because we get onto one answer and another answer may take off of that answer. So I'll take off of economic development. I absolutely agree with that, but I've said this before and I'll keep saying it. I think revitalization of what we have in our community, downtown, is critical to me, and that's part of economic development. Keeping our community attractive, that's part of economic development. That's part of why people want to stay here. I've got to give a plug for the schools. Whatever we can do to help our schools stay good, that's great. And I think that follows along with downtown and making this a community where we want to be, an attractive community, a place we call home with a contemporary vibe. I think is critical. Thank you.
Katie Fullen, what's the most important thing for 5-10 years?
Downtown revitalization is a big one for me. We have to get that we need to kind of step back. We were going to need more houses, bring more tax dollars. More houses bring businesses. They see the business. So it's a chain reaction. So yes, everyone thinks that, apartments coming in, we're going to get the most high quality apartments. And that's just going to build down to what we were ultimately wanting, the businesses, the restaurants, all of that. Alongside with the living, we want the parks. Our parks just got an award for the best in the state. So we want to continue on that. We wanted to make it a living place where they can eat, shop, everything Blue Springs.
We're back to this end of the row. Mr. Clark, what are your thoughts?
Mine would be schools. Schools attract families, and when you got the families coming to town living here, that's when you increase your tax base. Also, I teach at many of the schools. They're great schools, but they're very crowded. Somehow fixing it, some of the overcrowding of the schools needs to be worked on. Maybe a couple more elementary schools, redistricting that a little bit. But as far as schools, I think that's a main issue we should concentrate on.
Doug States.
I do agree with economic development, getting new businesses and keeping the ones we have in here. However, one of mine would be develop safer streets as far as maybe a little wider with sidewalks so that people can go places if they want to walk, don't want to ride, don't want to drive. They can walk safely on sidewalks instead of on a edge of a street or in someone else's yard if it's not good outside. So that's another one thing I think needs to be looked into is safer streets and, for our pedestrian people.
And finally, with that question, Jeremy Rowan.
I really apologize. One more time, the question.
Yeah, sure. What do you see as the most important thing that the city of Blue Springs should focus on the next 5 or 10 years? And how will you work to get that done?
I'm honestly piggyback off all this stuff that was said. I'm with Katie on this one where I don't think there's one set thing. I do think that our downtown revitalization is the key to all of it. And that downtown revitalization will bring businesses there. People are coming to the businesses in our downtown area. They're coming through our businesses on the south side and north side and the east side of town. Bringing that revitalization to downtown and helping the other businesses in town will also bring more people. We'll need to add more houses and the apartment complexes that we already have on the docket coming down the road. So there's a lot of things that come together with it. But one of the things I'd like to see us focus on is, again, just keeping that police force going, keeping our schools going. Those are the two shining, in our amazing CJC fire department and SJC as well. But working off those three things and continue to grow our city. Thank you.
This next question goes first to Galen Erickson. Let's drill down a little bit more specifically. The downtown master plan is gaining steam with city leadership and some critical development. How can you, as a member of the council, encourage private development and investment in our downtown?
We are doing that already. I have been pushing for that for a long period of time. I will say this. What I can do is make the council or help the council be a consortium of good thought on doing that. Public-private investment in downtown is going, it's a necessity and it's going to happen. I think this is a little indirect to what you asked, but as Katie mentioned, the purchase of the property on 15th and Main was a difficult thing, but we all agreed to do it. And I think that's going to be huge, and we will get private developers to come into that. It's just a function of time and getting the right ones, not getting too excited about the first one or the second one.
Katie Philbin, your thoughts?
Yeah, the downtown, the purchase of the church was a big step into the revitalization. The apartment complex that we just approved to move forward is going to be big. It's a nationwide company that has connections to big businesses, or what we call corner, or the commercial unit will bring in new business on that. And I think hopefully it will trickle down from there.
Brian Clark, what are your thoughts on, did I cut you off?
No.
No, okay. Sorry. Mr. Clark, what do you think about the downtown?
That's it.
The downtown master plan and how specifically the one person is asking, how do you bring private money downtown?
I'm not really fully abreast of what the full plan is, but if I'm elected, I'll get myself filled in. But as Ms. Sullivan was saying, some anchor stores will probably, businesses getting next to those anchor stores will probably bring in more business and more people visiting downtown. It's like I moved here in 1979, and that downtown really hasn't changed any since then. So some welcome change. We have the Fall Fun Fest there, and I've seen it grown from 2 blocks to the full street. So getting those anchor stores and getting more business there, I think will help it.
Devastation?
I've been coming and going to the city council meetings for almost 7.5 years, probably made about 80% of them, 90% of them. So now, being a member of the council, I would have to make sure I get to talk with the council to help back the community development director and the people that make those decisions, trying to get new businesses in and help support them in their endeavor to get the new businesses.
Mr. Rowan, this downtown master plan is moving along. What do you think about it, and what do you do to get private money there?
I was going to ask you to react to that question. Thank you. Basically, what I would do, we have an economic development, and I forgot his name, I'm sorry, manager, and his name was that name? Josh. Working closely with Josh, he, from what I understand, is trying to bring those businesses in, working with our Chamber of Commerce to help us develop the business here in town and keep us thriving. And just, I guess, getting out there and trying to find businesses to come in and anchor that area. I do think there were 1 or 2 places or businesses, I'm sorry, away from having a thriving downtown area. Thank you.
And Susan Culpepper, downtown?
Thank you. I served on the board for Downtown Alive for a number of years, and I've seen a lot of improvement. As we go forward and to bring new businesses in, we have to educate. We have to make sure that as people come to look at our community, they're aware of all those benefits that we have. We have the different 353s, et cetera, where people can use those to improve their businesses and move forward. We're always out there to try to help those businesses that we still have and encourage the retention. But partnerships is what we need. The new development with the apartments, the whole lower level, is going to be for amenities. And so we're hoping, and they're talking about bringing some nice restaurants and et cetera into that development. So it's a good start. And I think that we have had really good improvements so far. We are still going.
This next question goes first to Katie Tholen. We see a lot of unhoused people in our area. How will you work with the mayor and other members of the council to create a plan to meet the needs of our unhoused single people and families here in Blue Springs?
So I know there's a lot of nonprofits in Blue Springs that are geared towards that. Hillcrest is one of them, some other places. So I think just educating the community of what is available to them, matching them up with that.
All right, Brian Clark, homelessness?
I know there's a lot of veteran homeless out there that have places to go, and somehow we need to extend that to our, the other ones. I see online a lot of people donating money and putting them people up for overnights and stays like that. Maybe creating like a Ronald McDonald house, something like that, a homeless house where they can stay cleaned up, possibly help find them a job, get them back on their feet, or something more positive to turn something positive for them instead of being out on the street homeless.
Doug Stacer, what are your thoughts on this?
That is a good question. However, there's not a lot of people have really thought about it too much. They kind of go, oh, we don't see that. But they need to try to, again, get with them and try to match them up with people and places that can help them carry on and get better their food, their quarters, and get them good jobs so they can get away from being houseless. So that's one thing I would have to look for.
Jeremy Rowan, what are your thoughts on this?
Again, here in Blue Springs, we do have a lot of nonprofits that work towards this. We have a lot of churches that feed homeless that will go and, I guess, try to administer care as well. I know there's some places that offer healthcare as well, but we need something a little bit more sustainable in that. That would be another, I guess, business or be nonprofit technically we can accept here in the city. Unfortunately, like Hillcrest is in Independence, and there's a lot of things in Western Jackson County for these homeless individuals. There's Life Hope or something like what we in Kansas City. There's a lot of places like that, but unfortunately, we're starting to see this population of homeless out here in this area in Eastern Jackson County, out further out into Green Valley, and we don't have a place to house them. They get picked up and then they're just released right back on the streets. So I think one of the things I would like to do is work with like Community Service League here in town and see what they have, what their ideas are as far as serving that much needed population. Thank you.
Susan Culpepper, the question here is what is the council? What should the council be doing about this? And how do you make it happen?
Well, one of the things that we do have, we have CDBG funding, which is actually HUD money, and we get that every year. And that money goes to places like CSL and Hope House to help people get settled and get their needs addressed, food, etc. I know that, unfortunately, I have not had the opportunity to be a part of the hotel that has openings and people donate funding for rooms, overnight rooms for people who are challenged with their housing. It's a very difficult problem. It's not something that is unique to Blue Springs.
And Galen Erickson, what are your thoughts, please?
I think that, the council, if you're asking specifically the council, that would be to work with Mid-America Regional Council and the not-for-profits to recognize the real problem of, the real problem of unhoused people. And in our community, I don't see that we have enough empathy and enough recognition that the name unhoused or homeless is really a person. And if we as a community and as a council, if we can recognize that, I think that will work. But back to the top, Mid-America Regional Council has some advocacy for that. And if we work with that, Mr. Mayor and the council, I think we can do something.
All right, we're back to this end of the row. So, Mr. Clark, this question goes to you first. Crime is an ongoing concern for business in Blue Springs as well as residents. How will you address concerns about public safety? And how do you ensure that all business owners and residents feel safe and secure in their neighborhoods and in their places of business?
More presence. I know I drive around and you just don't see them out during the day very much. And I guess more detectives to investigate crimes that we have. Yeah, just more police presence. The more you see them out there, less people are likely to commit crime.
So, Stacey, what are your thoughts on public safety?
Like I said, we do have a great police force. We just need to get some more officers installed. We do have cameras that help us solve crimes and catch the criminals going like that. But yeah, we just need to be out and seen more out in the areas, driving around, not just parked, but driving around so that the deterrent business needs to make sure that they keep their places, put cameras in their own stores to help the police if something happens in their business, to help the investigation. So that's one big thing they need to help with.
Jeremy Rowan.
And this is for public safety, it said? That was
Yeah, it's that people are, how do we make sure people feel secure in their homes and business?
As a business owner, my first thought is to get, I guess, more employees and be better pay. I know Susan here had discussed that they had just passed something for their retirement. Unfortunately, with the rising cost of houses here, with the rising taxes, to bring people in or to bring employees or police officers in, I think that offering them a decent pay would be a fantastic way to bring more officers, which would get more presence on the streets, which would make a safer community. Thank you.
Susan Culpepper, what are your thoughts?
I know that our police department struggles sometimes to get new officers. We do work very hard to make sure our pay is competitive, and every year we review that. We work through the unions, and our staff does an excellent job with that. We also have, as someone mentioned earlier, flock cameras, and that has been a great tool. We have had a lot of people who have been arrested for crimes because of the flock cameras. We had a meeting just a week ago with homeowners associations to see if they would like to participate also. It's a good way to be under the radar. It doesn't interfere with the person's personal activities. It takes pictures of license plates, and it does help bring in people who are committing these crimes. We also have cameras in the parks. All of this is part of preventing crime.
Galen Erickson, public safety. People are worried. What are your thoughts?
Well, people, you asked, I think the question was, how do we make people feel safe?
In their homes?
In their homes and their businesses. The last citizen survey, one of the highest rated parts of that was safety. People felt safe. I feel safe because I know the police force. I know the technology. I think that getting that word out there is being done very, very well. If we can encourage people to hear that word and understand what we're doing. Yes, we have flock cameras. We have license plate readers now, I believe, on every car. When I got on the council 6 years ago, we had them on 4 cars. Deterrence is great. We can't stop people from coming out here, but when they know that we have a flock camera on the corner, or we have a license plate reader, and when people are aware with the homeowners associations and the neighborhood watch programs, I think people feel safe if they know they can feel safe.
Katie Thulin, you're the last one to take a whack at this question.
So having a fully staffed police force is a big thing. I know that they're working with CPC to start when they're young, to wean them all the way through. That is a great way of getting the force full. I went on a ride along not a couple of weeks ago, and the response time of our police is incredible. I was on a call and we were going full force. So the response time and knowing that if you are in trouble, the response time for us is incredible. And then the technology, just keeping them up to date with all technology and letting the community know that we are top in our technology. I know several different cities actually reach out to Blue Springs for their technology. So the citizens and are with tax money and all that is going to that.
This question goes first to Doug Spacer down the road. Why is the city council in such a rush to pass an ordinance on backyard hens? Would you favor letting citizens vote for or against?
Well, I'm not sure if the council is in a rush to get that code enacted. However, I feel with 62,000 people in our city, it shouldn't be left up to 7 people to make this ruling, especially with a hot topic like that. It should be put to the city of our overall vote. That way everybody has their opinion on that. So that way the citywide vote would be the way to go with this chicken backyard hens.
Jeremy Rowan.
To win an election.
Susan Culpepper, what are your thoughts on backyard hens? Should we'll go with the people.
Well, I'm just kind of in shock right now. We have talked about chickens since I believe 2015 was when I first heard about this. And we have talked about them and talked about them and talked about them. We live in a city with a budget of $96 million. We have economic development to worry about. We have projects to worry about. We have streets to worry about. We have infrastructure. We have so many things that we should be putting our time into. And I think at this point, chickens should be at the bottom of the list of conversation. We need to make our city a destination, make it a wonderful place that people want to come and live.
Galen Erickson, chickens.
Two-part question, was
It
it
is a
not?
two-part question. What are your thoughts? What do you favor or not? But, and do you want to put it to a vote of the people or have the council decide?
I think why is the council in such a hurry? I don't know the answer to that. I'm not in a hurry to do it. I've been on the council since 2019, and I would like to clarify that it was 2023 was the first time we talked about hens. I think it started in 2015, but it kind of sat on the plate, if you will, for a little bit. I said when there was an initiative. Okay, that's fine. When there was an initiative petition, I said I would support an initiative to put it on the ballot if it were an ordinance that I could live next to. Yes, I would support putting it on the ballot because back to one of the other questions, it's a compromise. It would make the people, or at least some of the people, believe that they have a voice in the government, and I think the ballot is the best way to go, albeit expensive.
Katie Thone, your thoughts?
My vote stands the last 2 times that I've been on there. You can go back to see what the vote was. I continue seeing that. My honest opinion, I don't think it should be a taxpayer's dollars to put it on the ballot. It should be something that, it's been 2 years. I think it needs to be decided and moved on.
Probably Mr. Clark, we're back to this end. What do you think about all this and should it go on the ballot?
They attempted to put it on the ballot. The Jackson County Election Board did some of their craziness, and so it did get kicked back to the city council, where it's been, like I said, it's been 2 years. They've been trying to get it done. I'm for it. I think that's, we don't have regulations for owning dogs. Have to register them that way. We don't pay fines. You don't have to have a chicken, your backyard, checked out. So, but, they're demanding 52 to be checked out, that, and it needs to be, finished, done with, vote yes and get it, passed.
All right, thank you, sir. The hour is getting a little late. We want to be respectful of people's time, but I think we've got time for one more question before closing statements. And this question will go first to Jeremy Rowan. A couple people asked questions along these lines. As a city councilman, how will you partner with our school district to ensure safety for students and cooperation with school expansion projects and reasonable permitting fees for building projects?
Relationships, having a close relationship with the school board, with the superintendents, with the principals at each one of the schools. It's been something I've been trying to build through each one of these campaigns that I've run for the first city council race, for the House of Representative race, and now for this one as well. We have to listen to those people. We did elect them. I know we don't have technically an election this year for those school board members, but those people were elected by us to make those decisions. And I think as a city council, we should take their thoughts and their priorities on how they want the district to look into consideration and work with them closely. Thank you.
Susan Culpepper.
Our schools are what sell this community very often. We moved here because of the schools. We had a small son and we wanted the best for him. Partnerships is the magic word, and we do work well with the school district. And anytime we have a new project come up, they are always asked to come and voice their opinion as far as, is it going to crowd your schools? This is something that you can handle. And their buildings, I have yet to see us turn down an extension of any of the buildings. It's very important. Our youth are our future.
So to Galen Erickson, again, it's a three-part question. It's about student safety, it's about cooperating on expansion projects, and then like permit fees, that sort of thing. What's the council's role there?
Student safety, the district, I believe, has their own police force. We cooperate with them, and that has grown as well. I don't believe that's any of the city council's responsibility or job other than to support that. Expansion projects, I would agree with Councilmember Culpepper. Their expansion projects are well thought out. They build a new facility and it's already filled, but it's perfect, and then they move on. I have always supported the schools. I've been here a long, long time, and the school district has meant a lot to me, to my family, to my kids, to everybody out here. Reasonable building fees, I don't know if they're unreasonable, but apparently somebody thinks they are. They wouldn't ask the question. I certainly don't believe we need to be making an extra amount of money or an exorbitant amount of money just because of the size of the structure.
Katie Tholen, your thoughts?
Yeah, so Blue Springs is unique. We actually support three different school districts, Lake Summit, Green Valley, and Blue Springs. So the partnership is important in all three of those schools. I'm I think the only one that has children in schools. Oh yeah, you do too, sorry. But yes, it's extremely important. The growth is important. We're doing an innovation center that is being built right now. It is amazing. It's going to draw more people into Blue Springs. So the support is imperative. Like, we need the support no matter what. The police force they already have in every school. So I know there's resources that are in the schools that do a lot.
Brian Clark, student safety, permitting, and all that sort of thing.
I have a substitute, this is pretty close to me here. When I go to a building, I always find the school resource officer and, talk to them, find out, how things are going. And as a former military, I hate to say, school shootings, I try to find out what the plan is, what's safe for the kids, how they, what is the safety plan for the kids. But those resource officers are great there, and I talk to the principals as far as, where we at with the schools, I know William Yates is being completely, refurbished right now, and it's difficult for the kids getting around stuff like that. But I think, a lot of times I always ask why we didn't build double story, more classrooms instead of buildings straight out, single story buildings. But again, really, the relationships with the principals and the police officers are important.
Doug Stacer, student safety permits.
You do have to have a partnership between the city council and the school board members to make everything work smoothly. However, when it comes to building like that, they should have the same as any other business as far as their permitting fees. They should have the same opportunity as other businesses. And as far as the safety, we have police in the schools to try to get them to be as safe as possible. But the kids, if you ever driven by a school when they're letting out, they're not thinking safety. They need to be, it's dangerous for them just to walk in front of traffic. They need to have better education on what all that around let's see. They need to be educated more about the dangers of around with traffic and cars too.
My friend John Burke sits here disappointed because I believe he's not there. Anybody yet? Done with questions, we'll go to wrap up statements. It's Susan Culpepper's up first, and we'll go from there. 1 minute, please, each for your closing thoughts.
I don't know if I can do a minute. First, I want to thank CJC for the use of the facility, and of course, the examiner for doing this. Chamber, as always, putting this on every year. And I want to thank each and every one of you that is here and anyone who watches this. I think it's important to know how your candidates feel about things. I am a very dedicated city councilman. I get calls, I answer them. I find resolution to problems. Takes a while sometimes, but you have to work through the avenues that are necessary. I'm very involved in the city. I'm on the board of directors for the St. Mary's Hospital. As I said, I'm on Downtown Live. Women in Down Education. I do Girls on Fire. I'm very involved in the community and the civic organizations. And through that, I get to understand and to hear what people want and what they think is best for their city. So if elected, I will continue to do that and do the best that I can.
Galen Erickson, your closing thoughts.
Well, like Susan, I would like to thank everybody for coming, the chamber, CJC, and you as well. The last 6 years on the council have been incredibly rewarding to me. They've been a challenge. Taking care of dogs and cats is one thing. Taking care of people is another. The involvement I have in the community, as I stated earlier, and if you look it up, it's there, and it's a little bit repetitive, but I have grown to love the community in a different way, a different fashion. I've met new friends that have lived here forever, and I didn't know them until I got on the city council. I've seen businesses start, businesses fail, which is sad, and it's just been a pleasure, and I'd like to continue that for another 3 years, and I appreciate your vote on April the 8th, and thank you everybody again.
A minute of closing thoughts from Katie Phillip.
Thank you for this opportunity. It's different for me. I'm not used to this. I'm used to being behind my desk, so I appreciate all of this. I've kind of got thrown into this by choice. I want to continue on by choice. I have a unique perspective, being a mom, being a person that works full-time, all the things, and I want to know that I am fully committed to continuing on doing the work that's been done.
Brian Clark, your closing thoughts.
Again, thank you for having me here today. I am like I said, very newcomer to the political arena, and I retire next year, so this will be pretty much a full-time thing. If I am elected, again, a little bit about me. Being in the military, I'm used to taking care of people and leading from the front. So that's where I want to be at the front of the council.
Doug Stacer, what thoughts do you have to wrap up?
I want to thank everybody here for showing up and listening to us ramble on. I am retired now. I retired back in 2017, so I have plenty of time to listen to my District 2 constituents and help solve any problems that they might have. Again, I can't promise I'm going to fix everything, but I do promise I'll do my best for the District 2 and for what's best for Blue Springs. Thank you very much.
And finally, Jeremy Rowan, what are your final thoughts?
I'm gonna ask a question first. Does anyone know what the score of the Royals game is right now?
Mike?
Some of you guys are on the phone. I know you are. No, never mind. Sorry.
Buzzkill.
Now,
We're down 4-3 in the night.
thank you. I got this. Boo. In honor of the opening day today, I'm going to give you my baseball card stats, basically. I've been campaigning since 2023, different campaigns, but all still sort of the same goal. I still have the same message that I had back in 2023. In that time, I've knocked 10,000 doors. I've raised $39,824 of donations. Those donations came from, well, about 150 other people, unions, things like that. I've been endorsed by 30 unions, the BSNEA, the Missouri NEA, MSTA, IAFF Local 3133 here for CJC, the UAW, who has hundreds of workers retired and working here in our community. And thank you very much.
Thank you, candidates. Let's give a round of applause for candidates for running. Thank you for being here today. It takes a little bit to put yourself out there for office. We're going to get you out here half a minute early, but I've got a couple things. That's all the time we have for questions. In closing, we'd like to thank everyone again for being here this afternoon and participating in this forum. This is a lively exchange of thoughts and ideas with some good dialogue among the candidates that we hope was rewarding and enlightening for all the voters. I want to thank Mayor Chris Levisay for providing information about the city's charter amendment ballot questions. Thank you to Chief Large for the information about the fire district ballot question. I want to thank CJC for the use of this very nice facility that they always offer us in a very hospitable way, and each of you for coming out. The Chamber and the Examiner encourage you to exercise your right to vote on April 8th. Polls in our state are open as they have been forever, from 6 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night. So make sure you take advantage of that. Get out and vote. Thank you for coming.